In February 2019, Liam Neeson gave an interview that sent shockwaves across the globe. Headlines blared, "Liam Neeson admits he wanted to kill a black man." Social media erupted, promotional events were cancelled, and many called for boycotts. But what actually happened? Was Neeson accused of sexual harassment? Did he commit a crime? Or was this something more complex? A moment of raw, painful honesty about racism, trauma, and the dangerous pull of vengeance. Welcome to Legend Story. I'm Your Name, and in this 30-minute special, we're cutting through the noise to examine what Neeson said, why it mattered, and what it reveals about grief, bias, and the hard work of accountability. This isn't about defending or condemning, it's about understanding. The controversy began during a promotional interview for Neeson's film Cold Pursuit, a revenge thriller. Asked about vengeance, Neeson shared a deeply personal story from over 40 years earlier. He revealed that a close female friend had been raped by a stranger. Devastated, he said he spent a week carrying a kosh, going into bars in Belfast looking for a black man to kill because his friend had described her attacker as black. He added, "I was hoping some black bastard would come out of a pub and have a go, so I could kill him." Crucially, he stressed that he never found the man. He never harmed anyone. He later realized how racist, dangerous, and wrong that impulse was, and he has been ashamed of it ever since. This was not an allegation, it was a confession, one he offered to illustrate the film's central warning: revenge corrupts. But the way it was framed, especially in viral headlines, made it sound like a boast, not a regret. The backlash was swift, and for good reason. Critics pointed out three major issues. First, racial targeting. Even if he didn't act expressing a desire to commit racially motivated violence, and linking blackness with criminality is deeply harmful, echoing centuries of racist tropes used to justify lynching, police brutality, and systemic violence. As writer Roxane Gay said, his words didn't exist in a vacuum. They landed in a world where black men are already seen as threats. Second, centering himself in a survivor's trauma. Many felt Neeson used his friend's rape as a justification for his own violent fantasy, rather than focusing on her healing, justice, or support. Third, timing in the Me Too era. Just 2 years after Me Too exploded, survivors were finally being believed, and here was a powerful man describing vigilante justice, not legal accountability or systemic change. Actors like Whoopi Goldberg and Viola Davis spoke out. Promotional events for Cold Pursuit were canceled. Some called it a career-ending moment. Neeson didn't disappear. Days later, he appeared on Good Morning America and issued a full apology. "I am deeply ashamed. What I did was wrong. I did not realize the full weight of what I said until I heard the outrage." He clarified that he never acted on his impulse. He has spent decades confronting his own prejudice, and he called his younger self ignorant and racist. In the years since, he's worked with diversity and inclusion consultants on film sets, spoken more carefully about trauma and justice, and continued his humanitarian work with UNICEF, often in communities of color. Importantly, he didn't excuse his words. He owned them. And that's a key distinction. Accountability isn't about perfection. It's about willingness to listen, learn, and grow. This moment wasn't really about Liam Neeson. It was about all of us. It forced a conversation about how grief and rage can distort judgment, how unexamined bias lives in even good people, and how true justice for survivors doesn't come from revenge, but from belief, support, and systemic change. Neeson's story is a cautionary tale. Even those who see themselves as protectors can harbor dangerous impulses. But it's also a story of growth. At 66, he chose humility over defensiveness, and that's rare. As anti-racism educator Ibram X. Kendi says, "The opposite of racist isn't not racist. It's anti-racist, someone who actively challenges bias, including their own." Neeson's journey since 2019 suggests he's trying to be that person. Liam Neeson's 2019 interview wasn't about sexual harassment. It was about the danger of unchecked rage, the weight of racial bias, and the hard path to accountability. He made a mistake, not in 2019 but decades ago. His response was a choice, and he chose to listen, apologize, and do better. In a world quick to cancel or idolize, maybe the real lesson is this: growth is possible, but only if we are brave enough to face our darkest impulses. If this video gave you clarity and context, please like, subscribe, and share it to help correct misinformation. This is Legend Story, where we honor complexity, seek truth, and believe people can change. Thank you for watching. Accountability is not the end, it's the beginning.